Hello and welcome to the Trinity Music Department podcast. Oh, I added another department there. It's just the Trinity Music podcast.
Trinity Music podcast.
Yeah, last week it was the Trinity High School Music Department podcast. There's about 7 extra words in there. The Trinity Music podcast.
You get it next time, sir.
Yes, on today's episode we have the original guest, Sean Lamond. He's back. So Sean filmed the pilot episode of the podcast.
That's right.
I think it was around about 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks
about a month ago, yeah.
And Sean's podcast get a really good feedback from everybody, colleagues and pupils. And since then, we've sort of launched three first proper episodes, and we thought it was only fair to bring you back to do the original episode 1. So the 3 episodes we've done so far are called episode 2, 3 and 4. So we're leaving a space for you to be number one again. And since you were last on the podcast, we're now on Spotify. So if you search for the Trinity Music Podcast on Spotify, you can listen to this on the go, which I think is quite cool.
After this.
Yeah, we've always wanted to have something on Spotify in the department, so that you can go and stream it on the bus.
Joe Rogan who?
Yeah, exactly. And I say when we pip Joe Rogan and Stephen Bartlett, the Diary of a CEO guy,
definitely,
and any other famous podcasts,
we're gonna outpass them all.
Yes, to the end of your podcast awards. We want to be your top streamed podcast this year on Spotify. You know when they do that thing in December where it's like most listened to, Spotify Wrapped, Spotify for artists. We want to be number 1.
Exactly.
So even
everyone go watch it 5 times.
Exactly. Even if you don't listen to it, just
keep it on the background
and boost our numbers. But since you've last been on the podcast, Sean, how's things been? Have you been up to much exciting?
Well, I mean, I got an unconditional offer for the UWS in Ayr for screenplay.
Oh, wow.
Film writing.
Congratulations, that's wonderful news.
Yeah.
So screenplay, and
just filmmaking.
Filmmaking, good. So do you learn how to work like the cameras and stuff like that behind the scenes, as well as writing scripts? Or is it more creation element?
I'd say it's more the creation element I'm looking to get out of it, but I'm not sure if that's part of the course or not.
That's so cool. And obviously that you're doing advanced higher English, so you've got a good knowledge already of how to write in a creative way. Aye. And that seems like the kind of course where if you've got an idea for, say, a sitcom or even
Breaking Bad 3.
Yeah, or some sort of like program or a sketch show, you get the chance to write it and work with excellent tutors and probably in the right place to make connections with the industry. Aye. So brilliant. And because it's an unconditional, you don't need anything from this year. Yeah. So because that's unconditional, you've got obviously other offers in as well. Where else are you still waiting to hear back from?
Still waiting to get back from the Conservatoire, Edinburgh, Glasgow and Strathclyde.
Good. So you've got 4 other things still to come in, and even if none of them are successful for you, though, you've still got a foot in the door somewhere, and you've still got somewhere to go in August, which is a massive thing because obviously when you go from primary 1 through to S6, your whole year is like everything's dictated for you. But now when you leave school, you've got to sort of
make your
own way, and now you've achieved that. You've got somewhere to go, which is great, and I'm sure you'll do really well in that, whatever you end up. Good. So, as people will be familiar with by now, Sean's going to talk about his favourite 3 songs of all time. Aye. So, on the pilot episode, Sean picked 3 bands, James, Stone Roses and Oasis.
The best.
And unsurprisingly, he's picked the same 3 bands again. However,
original.
To make this slightly more interesting for him and people that have watched the first one, Sean is going to talk about 3 different songs from these bands. Okay,
my taste magically changed overnight.
It's still the same. Still the same
bands.
He's not moved far away from.
Yeah, I'm not moving on from the bands, but I've moved on from the songs.
To be fair though, as everybody has said, it's like Robbie, Mirren, and David have all said like you could like easily change your mind. So by the time the actual thing gets posted online,
after I'd finished the original episode, like I'd already changed my mind about the Stone Roses one.
Yeah, so it just shows you that like music's something that always evolves, and you don't. I know I'm always like greatest songs of all time until you're maybe like a lot older than you are. You probably won't have set in stone songs that are your favourites. And
even then, like it's still like
it's always going to evolve.
Change.
And that's obviously the beauty of music. So what's the first song we're going to start with?
Right, I'm going to start with All I'm Saying by James.
Good. So James, the band, as in, I know that's a really weird name for a band.
It is a weird name for a band because, like, see, whenever I tell people I like James, they're my favourite band. Like, there was like James who.
Yeah, exactly. And if you type James and see if you type like I don't know, Metallica into Google, like obviously it
You're
comes
gonna
up,
get
but you can't
the
just
band,
type
but,
the
like,
word James into Google. So you need to type James the band into Google.
There's a similar problem with Oasis because sometimes it just types up like an actual Oasis
Yeah,
or the drink.
the drink, and there's a clothing brand as well called Oasis too, I think. Yeah, so we're going for James the band, and All I'm Saying is the track. So that is the 10th and final track from their 2014 album.
Le Petit Mort.
Le Petit Mort, very good. I love having people on here that have such a
That know this song.
Like, how can you remember all this stuff?
I don't know. It's just a thingy. See, when I'm listening to it, I mostly listen to this one on YouTube because it doesn't like pop up in my playlist very often. So I'm listening to it, it's got the album like actually in the video, and then the name of the album's just there. So I'm like, okay, that's from
So
Petit
you
Mort.
just memorise it. You should use that technique for studying. Yeah, and that would be a good way of memorising stuff for school. So it's released in 2014 and was one of the tracks on that album. And obviously 2014 is the last was quite recently. So I think they must have had a good number of albums out before that.
Yeah.
But it was the first for a wee while, I think, because they were massive
they took a break.
when they came out, took a wee break, and then
Tim
came back with
Booth
it.
kind of tried to start pursuing an acting career, and he was in a Batman movie.
Yeah, that's really good knowledge. So Tim Booth, the front man of James,
found out last week.
Yeah, so he obviously he's probably most famous as being a singer and that, but he's also had a career as an actor. I think that happens quite a lot in music. Sometimes you get people like, I suppose like something like Harry Styles, he's like been in films and that, and
I've not seen anything he's been.
Have you not seen Dunkirk before? The film?
I've seen a wee bit.
Yeah, he's in that. Yeah, I don't know if he's got any like lines in the film, but he does play. He's got a role in it.
No, I didn't know he was in that.
Yeah, so I suppose it's the
Christopher
same.
Nolan film.
Yeah, the same sort of thing in that he's, because of his success in music, he's maybe has more doors open to him to then go and do that sort of thing. So yeah, the song is actually it's a really good song, obviously, and I can see why you've picked it. But it's quite a sad message to it as well. And it was written by the singer about his friend passed away, basically, and his friend was a famous dancer called Gabriel Roth, and he wrote the song about how Gabriel Roth died of lung cancer, and he wrote the song about how that had been hidden from him, basically, and I think it was to protect their friendship. She kept her illness a secret, sort of thing, which is quite sad, actually.
I guess you can kind of hear that in the song. It's kind of got that like element of mystique to it. Like,
yeah, it does.
In the lyrics.
And it's got a nice sort of like contrast between having like bits of it are quite happy as well, but then there is a sad undertone.
It seems really sad at the start and at the end. Like the middle part is just like it's a bit more like upbeat.
Yeah, and every time they perform this song live, I think Tim Booth, the singer, tells a sort of story of how it happened, and it's quite a powerful song because it's more than just a piece of music. It's like a story about,
Yeah, I feel like there's like kind of like a story in the song as well. Like you can tell, like at the beginning, the guy seems a bit like sad when like he's singing it, and then like his mood does kind of pick up a wee bit.
Yeah.
But then like the last bit, it's kind of got like kind of a mix between the happiness and like the sadness, so it's kind of like acceptance in a way.
Yeah, yes. Powerful, very powerful. Well, I was thinking that actually, I thought this off camera. Like, so obviously you're into English and creative writing, all that sort of thing. Have you ever dabbled in like writing song lyrics or thought about something that you could maybe do?
Kind of thought about that before, but like last time I tried that, some of my pals slagged me saying it was too close to The Importance of Being Idle by Oasis.
Oh, so you've ripped what the lyrics were?
No, my actual like when I was playing the tune, the melody.
Oh, right, okay.
No, like started it, but like
Aye, maybe you could work with someone else that could play, like one of your pals could come up with the chords and you could just stick to the lyrical element of things.
Maybe.
Yeah, so what is it you like about this? Have you got any other parts of the song you like? I know you maybe like the message overall, but is there anything music-wise or lyric-wise you like about it?
I really like the chorus, like just like how it does like go for that more upbeat thing, because like just the verses, like you still got like that sadness and like it's still kind of a wee bit slow, but like then the lyrics pick up and it's just, I feel like it's done really natural. It doesn't seem forced. Like it just happens like progressively throughout the song, and I really like how it's done.
Yeah, I would agree. I really like how when the groove kicks in, so when the bass and the drums kick in, it's got a really nice feel to it and a nice tempo for like walking to. It's like set at a nice BPM.
Yeah, it's really
like
calming song.
The sort of speed of like that, wherever I can't remember exactly what it is, but like it's at a speed that's not really fast, but it's fast enough.
Yeah, it's fast enough to
like you can kind of walk to at a nice pace, and it's the sort of song that you would want to walk down the street to, and it gives you loads of confidence. And then at the end, there's some really good vocal harmonies on where they repeat the "All I'm Saying" bit at the end.
I love it.
Yeah, Tim Booth sings like the melody line, and then just on top of that, there's a lovely little vocal harmony which like goes neatly with it.
Yeah.
And like what we were talking about with Stone Roses on your last, like your pilot podcast, the song like builds up, then it falls away, and it builds up, and they keep some of the best bits to the end.
To the end, like the actual in both songs, "I'm the Resurrection" and "All I'm Saying," they don't actually say the title of the song till the very end of the song.
Yeah,
which I really like that.
I think that's good, and
it's kind of like rewarding you for that. Like, keep
it's like a little thing at the end because you stuck with us for 4.5 minutes that you're going to now get the.
That's the thing.
Yeah, and that's some of the greatest songs of all time. They all have that bit in them where you're just waiting for that massive kind of finale, and you think you're there, and they pull it back. You pull it back, and it's just a really good songwriting technique. Have you got any? I know this is a song you heard maybe more recently, but is there any memories you've got associated with it, or if there isn't, how did you first get into the song?
Well, my memories associated with this, it's just like a few weeks ago. Actually, I was just listening to this one. Like, I've listened to it before, obviously, but like this is the one where it just really kicked in. I was just walking alone. It was really cold, just out at Bray Head. Yeah. And I was like, this song came on, and it just like reminded me like someone, and it was just like really like kind of like helped me out.
Oh, good. So it just helped just clear the head.
Clear my head, yeah. That's from all the things that were going on at the time, you know what I mean?
Nice, good. And how did you first get into James as a band then? Where did that come about from?
It was actually from a member of staff in this very school.
Yeah, all right. We're going to give them a name check.
Aye. All right, Mr. McDowell.
Yeah, Mr. McDowell, good. So how did that come about then?
Right, well, it was a Wednesday after school, and I was always really late packing up my stuff because I had so much stuff, S5, hires and all that. History and modern studies, it was like...
Heavy written subjects, yeah. So you were kind of packing up at the end of the lesson,
and then like he asked, like I was the only one left in the class, he asked what kind of music I was into. I talk about stuff like Oasis, Stone Roses, the Beatles, and then he told me to like listen to James. And I was like, okay, get around to that, but like it was during prelim time, so I didn't really have much time.
Busy, yeah.
I wasn't really listening to much music at that point, but it wasn't until after like it came on in a playlist I had, one of the James songs. It was Sit Down.
Yeah, one of the more famous ones. Yes.
Yeah, that's still a good one as well. But like, that got me listening to more other stuff, and like I found this one. It's one of my favourites.
And I think you described them off camera as underrated.
They are very
I think that's the best word to describe them. There's loads of bands that are probably overrated and artists that quite like, but they're ones that are definitely underrated. And I don't understand why they haven't had they're not as
some other bands.
They have been obviously they've
had like successful. They've had stuff like with like Laid and Sit Down, obviously.
Yeah,
but, like,
and they've had a wee bit of radio play, but they're not like a massive
band.
But they're as good as a lot of other ones that have made it. I mean, you think about this year at Transmit Festival. I think Pulp are maybe headlining that festival.
I couldn't tell you that.
That could be totally wrong. I'll maybe need to check that after the show. But after
fact check.
But so I think they were a massive band in the 90s, and they had a lot of hits like Common People and all that sort of thing. Yeah. But James have had similar types of songs, but then they would never get near headlining in the festival.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I'd say they've got the kind of like songs that could be hits, but like they've just gone so like under the radar that they've just not been.
But sometimes in a way I think that makes them a more likeable indie artist.
I think so, yeah, because like a lot of people don't know them.
Yeah, and it's quite nice being able to listen to bands that other people don't know. I always think that's a cool thing.
I think it's pretty cool. But like, and then when you do find someone else that does know the band, it's like you've got something to talk about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a great thing about music as well. Is it brings people together from. Yeah. That's how I think a lot of friendships are made with people. It's like who you listen to and who you go to gigs with and all that sort of thing. And that's came up as a bit of a theme with like Mirren and Robbie's podcast as well.
That came about. Me and one of my pals, Alex. Me and him became friends through music essentially. He got me back into Oasis.
And that's not many other things can do that. Even something like football, I suppose, I don't think that's got the same, because that's obviously more divisive than music.
Yeah, that's that. But yeah,
music pulls people together. So your first song, All I'm Saying by James, a cracking track, one to go and have a listen to. If you don't go and listen to that song first, listen to probably Sit Down, because they're famous songs that you will recognise.
Everyone's heard of them at some point.
Yeah, and Sit Down's been talking about football, been turned into a football track about Mo Salah, I'm pretty sure. So you probably recognise the melody.
That's how my brother knows it.
Is it? Yeah. So moving on to the next song, right? What are we going to go for song 2?
Right, song 2, going to go with the Stone Roses, Elephant Stone.
The Stone Roses and Elephant Stone, very good. The third single released in the 1998 album, the Was it called the Stone? It's just called the Stone
Stone
Roses. Yeah,
self-titled.
However, it only appears on the American version of their album.
Yeah,
which is
otherwise it's just
quite
like
strange.
Single, or it's in a
So it's
compilation.
just a standalone single, and this was the first released on a new record label, I think, that they joined. Which I don't know if that was part of the reason why the band ended up folding eventually, but
think so.
Yeah. So released in 1988, which is a long time ago, and there's a couple of different versions of it. There's one that's got I know you like, that's got the
5 minutes
original
one,
kind of
yeah.
5 minute long one that's got a big drum build up, and then they have a more sort of radio friendly one,
Yeah.
which they've condensed, and that ended up charting at number 8 in 1990. So it's had chart success, but again, it's not that well known a Stone Roses song. I wouldn't say.
Because like I feel like that's just the thing with a lot of singles and like things that aren't on the main album. A lot of them, like nowadays they don't come under that, because see, when you're looking at songs nowadays, it's mostly on YouTube, and like obviously they won't have the B-sides, they'll just have like the albums in place. So like to get the B-sides, you're gonna have to actively go at your way to search for them.
Yeah.
And a lot of people they don't know
just
that because they
don't do
don't they don't know the songs exist.
And that's how it's amazing how much music has changed as well in the last 10 years or so, and that everything's done through streaming and social media, and it's only like, if anything's more than about 30 seconds long, people lose interest in it because they just don't have
attention
the
spans.
They don't have the attention span to sit and listen to
On TikTok.
Yeah, I know. I reckon that is probably a lot to do with it. But they don't have the sort of.
I deleted it.
Yeah, they don't have the time to do like or the patience to listen to 5 minutes of music. They want to know a chorus immediately. But this song,
kind of sad.
Yeah, but this song, Elephant Stone, the one that you like, is 5 minutes long, and you can really sit and appreciate the music. When did you first listen or hear this one? How did you get into the band?
Got into the band because I used to listen to just Ian Brown's solo stuff, mainly his My Way album and my dad's car, when we'd always go on like drives and stuff like that. Did that along with Happy Mondays, but my mum didn't like it when we listened to Happy Mondays because Sean Ryder like swore in a lot of these songs, and I was an impressionable 5-year-old, so like couldn't have that.
So you want I can understand that.
So so it was mainly like Ian Brown, because that was one of the only other ones in the car we had. Along with Oasis, like,
was it a disc, like a CD?
Yeah, CDs, like.
There's been a while since that. Those are the days.
This is like late 2000s.
Yeah, before Bluetooth in the car. Yeah. So Ian Brown, the solo, the singer, the front man.
Yeah.
His album. Then you got into the Stone Roses by working back.
Like, my dad's like trying to convert me into Stone Roses from that. Wasn't really successful at the time, but like when I went off and listened to them on my own recently, like. Seriously, like 2019, then I started like really loving them. They were like one of my favourite bands ever. Yeah,
iconic band, and they came about at a time where there wasn't as much alternative rock music in the mainstream. So the Smiths are probably the first Manchester band to kind of break out in that style, like a guitar-based music. And a lot of the time it was mainly more kind of club-based music or disco or heavy metal, like Robbie was talking about last episode. But the Smiths came about with their kind of own brand of guitar music. And the Stone Roses have a similar type of style.
And they influenced a lot of other bands.
They then influenced the 90s, where alternative rock music, where it becomes the kind of cool music to listen to. And I think that whenever you see pictures of these 90s, 80s bands, they just look so cool.
Yeah, they still look cool.
And they dress in a way that like loads of young men want to look like. And the fashion has never changed.
Yeah, it's timeless.
And they are a timeless band. Along with Oasis, along with Blur, along with Pulp, every other kind of band. Oh yeah, another classic Oasis joke there. Along with all the kind of bands.
I don't actually remember
of that era. I quite like Blur as well, actually. But along with all the bands of that era, they are timeless. So this song is actually on a quite kind of cool note. Is produced by the bass player from New Order, who are another Manchester band, and they were formed out of Joy Division when Ian Curtis died, and a wee bit like
Pal Aiden said.
Yeah, a wee bit like Nirvana when Kurt Cobain died. The Foo Fighters emerged, and this is the same sort of idea.
Yeah.
And he produced this track, Elephant Stone, and the producer has a lot of influence on the way that like they might structure the song and the recording techniques they use and how it gets like basically turns in from 4 guys jamming it in a rehearsal room into a polished track. And I believe in the Beatles, I think his name was George Martin. I don't know if you know that. He was like the producer of the Beatles, and he was like the 5th Beatle. So he had as much of an impact. Well, critics would say as like someone like John Lennon or Paul McCartney. That's how important producers are. So,
they're very important.
Yeah. So anyway, Elephant Stone, a really, really good song. Some of my favourite bits that I wrote down and listened to is the kind of chiming guitar riff that John Squire plays. Really nice, and the drums at the end do a kind of. I'm not going to do it because I can't imitate the sound of a drum kit.
Drum kit right there.
Yeah, I can't. Give it a try. No, I'm okay. I've played the drums enough today.
Excuses.
If I move over too much, you'll end up knocking the mic over. I know it looks like I'm fishing here for excuses. No, my drum Nah, I can't play the drums very well. So no. Anyway,
actually, you're pretty good. Give us a go.
I can maybe do exercise 1 from the first year drum kit booklet, but that's about it. Anyway, so
Fair enough.
the da 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 bit, you know the bit I mean?
Yeah, I know the bit.
Yeah, that's the bit at the end that I really like on the drums. I don't know what part of the drums he plays, but it gets repeated the whole time.
Yeah.
And it causes that sense of real excitement. And like when you talked about I Am the Resurrection, there's that anticipation for what's coming next. Like
Yeah, it's
the
like
James one.
the and this one it's like the prologue lyrics. Like it's just prolonged lyrics, not prologue.
Yeah, prolonged. Yeah.
So you've got like the big instrumental build up, and like they play like a full like verse like without the lyrics. I think.
Yeah.
And that's
Do you mean without the instruments, or without? So
So
there's
just
no.
without the lyrics, like the
Oh,
first
right.
like verse,
They
like
build it up with the music
Yeah.
first. Yeah.
it's like you hear the chorus without any lyrics at the start before like you start singing it.
Yeah, the Stone Roses love that technique, and is it I Want to Be Adored as well? I'm sure it starts with.
I love that.
And like when you see that live, the minute Manny starts playing the bass riff,
Yeah.
and everybody knows what's happening, but then you're waiting, and
You're waiting because like the bass for that one takes forever, man.
yeah, that's
Not a
the-
bad thing. I
that's
love
the-
that song.
I think that is probably the best bit about music. Sometimes isn't when the actual thing kicks in; it's the
Yeah,
build
it just
up and the
impact
anticipation.
it like, is a lot.
Yeah, a wee bit like another football analogy. Like, you know, like when you're waiting for the game to kick off.
Yeah.
Sometimes the best bit is when the Champions League anthem's playing before the actual ball
Aye.
gets kicked. Do you know what I mean? It's just like it's that excitement about what's going to happen next, what's going to happen. Then when it does happen, it's like this
Yeah,
nice feeling. Yeah, can't beat it. So, All I'm Saying by James, song number 1. Elephant Stone, the Stone Roses, song number 2. Other good Stone Roses songs I've written down. This Is the One.
I love This Is
That
the
is that is my favourite Stone Roses
Really?
song. Yeah, love that song.
That's the thing. Like with Stone Roses, mine's alternates quite a lot. I'd say my main ones are definitely Sally Cinnamon. I want to Be Adored. I'm the Resurrection. Made of Stone. Elephant Stone. And there's another one. Shoot You Down or I'll Shoot You
Yeah,
Down.
good stuff. Waterfall, another classic.
Waterfall,
Trying to forget
yeah,
about
forgot that one. Yeah, that's the thing. The whole album is
Stone
so
Roses
good.
Bingo.
The whole album is like it's perfect.
And
I'd say that's one of the best
another
albums I've
really
ever
good
listened
one. She Bangs the Drums as well.
yeah,
like that one. It's got a good bass riff in that one as well.
Yeah, I was at a party recently, and like they were just playing a bunch of like kind of oldies music, and then
Oldies music.
old TV.
Yeah.
And then Stone Roses came on. That was like the first one, like a proper like.
This is the one. Part of the pun. Never mind, that was terrible. So
I was she bangs the drums.
Yeah.
Like you just hear the bass line to that, and we all know what
Yeah.
it was. Like me and my friend Harris, we were just jumping about, just belting out the lyrics, and then David and Amy, they didn't really know the song. They were just like kind of confused as to why we were jumping about and so excited.
So good. When the hi-hat,
shoving everyone.
when the hi-hat starts, the little thing in the hi-hat.
so good.
Yeah, great tune. Yeah, I love that band. I don't know, like I don't think I appreciated them that much when I was your age, but as I've kind of grown older and listened to more types of
Older
music,
and
I've
wiser.
come back to them. I don't know about wiser, but yeah. And song number 3 now. This is another song I had forgotten it existed. This is why I love doing this so much because I just forgot this was even a song.
I mean, I get that as well. Like, I listen to this band all the time, but like, I keep forgetting like some of the songs that like I used to say were some of my favorites.
And they've produced like so many amazing songs.
Aye.
So what are we going for this time?
This one for Oasis, I'm going with Round Our Way.
Round Our Way by Oasis. Now, if you're from Manchester, I think they pronounce
Our
our
Way.
as
That's,
R.
Yeah.
Like ARE, for example.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But I think because when you sent me, I was laughing at this when you emailed me the songs. You were like, "Hi sir, this is the songs for the podcast," and it was like Round Our Way, but it's our.
Had to be accurate.
Yeah, so you've like said it as you would say it, if that makes sense. But Round Our Way by Oasis. So this was actually a B-side.
Yeah.
Now, do you know what? Can you explain what a B-side is to people? Because this is
A B-side is basically when a single's released, you've obviously got the single as the A-side because that's the main selling point of like the song, and then on the other side when you turn it over, you've got the B-side, which is
on
just
the like on a record.
On a record,
Yeah.
You got the B-side, so that's like another song they added on that doesn't make it onto the actual album. It's just like one they've recorded and like didn't think they would sell as well, so they've just like put it on to another one to like, maybe get a bit more traction.
It's
for
almost
that
like
song.
a bonus song, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and sometimes they'll do live performances of like other songs. on certain
kind of
tracks.
one of those like for the fans sort of thing. Because an album would tend to have maybe 10, 12 songs on it. A few of those would be singles, the ones they think will get the most radio play probably, or the kind of maybe the ones with the most famous choruses. Then on the back of the singles, they have these B-sides. And for Oasis, they're probably one of the most famous B-side bands ever.
Definitely, because most of the B-sides are fantastic.
I know some of your songs, and some of my favourite Oasis songs are B-sides. So can you tell us some of the other B-sides that we should go and listen to?
Just from Morning Glory or just in general?
Well, start with Morning Glory, then see if there's any other ones.
So Round Our Way's a B-side in the Morning Glory album, and like that's like an album full of like amazing B-sides. It's got the Master Plan on it, which like that should have been a single.
Yeah, Noel Gallagher's favourite song he's ever written.
That is, I'd say that's one of the best. Should have been like the title of the third album, maybe.
Yeah.
Or what else? Aqueous.
Yes.
Head Shrinker. That's a really good one. I've said Aqueous.
Yeah.
Rocking Chair. And what's the other one? Step Out. I really love Step Out.
Yeah.
And then other ones from like other albums I think are really good. Definitely Maybe, which is my favourite Oasis album. That's got Half the World Away on it, which like that's
a mega famous song.
I became really popular because of the John Lewis advert cover, but I'm not gonna lie, I don't think that's as good as the original.
The original one is brilliant.
That's just biased.
The original one is the theme tune to
The Royal Family.
The Royal Family. It's a TV
My mum
show.
got me to watch that because like she knew that I liked Oasis, so she tried to entice me to watch that through that. And it's a good show. I liked it.
She just got you to watch the opening credits.
No, but I watched a few episodes and like it played the closing theme as well, so that's what kept me.
Yes.
But no.
I watched half an hour of telly for the 1 minute.
Just for the 1 minute of Oasis coverage. But that's like it's a good show. Like Royal Family.
I love that song. I love Round Our Way as well, but I also love Half the World Away.
That's the thing. Round Our Way was also. I was studying recently, and I forgot who it was, but someone was in my living room watching a movie, and like the end credits playing. It was called A Life Less Ordinary, starring Ewan McGregor.
Was it a film?
Yeah. And then at the end, like I hear like the start of this tune, I'm like, I recognise that, and it was Round Our Way, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's in the closing credits. That's so cool. And it's just that one of all songs.
Brilliant. Well, Round Our Way is quite unique for an Oasis single in that there's a lot of
very orchestral
instruments in it. So they've got quite a lot of brass instruments. There's probably strings in there as well, and that's different for a band like Oasis who tend to be very guitar heavy. And usually it's just the kind of 4 or 5 band members playing everything. They brought in like brass players to play this, and it creates a really kind of atmospheric noise.
That's another one they did in another single from the Definitely Maybe one, whatever. Like that's really good for that as well. Like I'd say both of them are like top tier Oasis songs. I love them.
They are. They must have recorded them at similar times, I'd imagine, because they're quite.
Whatever was
1995, aren't they?
No. Whatever was December 1994 that came out. It was like kind of known as the gap between Definitely Maybe and Morning Glory.
Yeah.
But it's still like grouped in with Definitely Maybe. When I listened to both albums, like I grouped that in with Definitely Maybe rather than Morning Glory, because Morning Glory's got more tracks anyway.
So what I really like about this song, it actually gets me quite nostalgic and emotional, is it talks a lot about what it's like to grow up, and like some of the lyrics are really cool. Like it talks about like playing football and that in the park. It talks about kind of like what life is like for most people at like in primary school age, sort of between the ages of about 8 and 10. But the way it does it in the lyrics is so beautiful. Like they talk about things like the next goal wins, like if you're playing football in primary school. I've talked about football way too much. Rebrand this as the football podcast. So it's an amazing song, and the lyrics just make me like I can sit and think of this and go, wow, I remember being in primary school. Like, and it's like so relatable to what life is like as a 10-year-old, and it's amazing they've captured that as a guitar band, which is
it's
beautiful.
really good.
Is there anything you like about the song? Have you got any kind of key bits of it?
I don't know. It's just see after like they play one of the choruses, like see one of the guitar riffs in it. Like I really like that. It's like a lot heavier than the rest of the song. I'd say I really like that, but I really like the whole song in general. Really love like the lyrics and just like it's a really upbeat song.
It is, it's just it makes you smile. Like it's one of those ones that makes me emotional, but I'm really happy. It's just like
it's just like a really good song.
It's like I don't know, it's like sugar or something like that. It just makes you like it's amazing. I love the way that Liam's voice sounds on it. It's so raw as well. It's like back in the day where it was good. He's only like in his early 20s and he just sings from his heart, and there's no, it's just raw passion.
Like his voice, I'd say it was definitely the best like during those times, like 94, 95. But like, although it kind of deteriorated around 2006 times and it's like reformed, like I don't think it will ever be as good as it was back in the 90s. That was like just peak.
See, for someone in his 50s, though, he's got to see his voice sounds great.
I think his voice is really good.
He can still sing.
I like a lot of his solo stuff.
Early tracks, well.
I seen him back in June. Really
I was going to comment on next about your kind of favourite gigs you've been to. So you saw Liam Gallagher in June. Was that in Ireland you saw that?
Yeah, so the first time it was in Belfast. Like my mum got me tickets for Belfast, and that was in Belsonic in Belfast. And then 2 days later I seen him in Hampden again, which was really good.
2 days later? Was it part of the same tour?
Yeah. But it was really good to like see him 2 times because it was like it's a different atmosphere, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and Liam's sets are great because he does obviously a mix of his solo material, but then he
And,
throws in a lot
yeah.
of Oasis songs as well.
That's the thing, though. I did feel a bit sad that he didn't do some more of his own material because I really love his solo stuff as well.
Yeah, the solo stuff's is great, and he's
Aye.
had 3 solo albums out as well, and his
Yeah.
most recent one
That's
I know
the
is
best
your
one.
favourite one, yeah. And he's really he's still retained the Oasis youth and the swagger, but he's got new ideas as well.
Yeah,
He does-
exactly. Like, he's still got his own original identity, I think.
and he does more of the writing as well, whereas in the stuff that like your first 2 Oasis albums, it's all exclusively Noel Gallagher that does it.
I mean, Liam kind of crept into that later on, like on Standing on the Shoulders of Giants, which is the most underrated Oasis album, I think.
yeah, that's a great album as well.
He
Last
did write.
one, yeah.
The last
Second
one.
last one, is it?
No. Standing on the Shoulders of Giants. That's the 4th one.
Oh, is that 2000?
That's 2000.
2000. Yeah.
And then-
Sorry, I'm getting confused. Yeah.
No, but I thought you were coming into the last one, Dig Out Your Soul, because he wrote a few for that as well.
Yeah.
That was really good.
I was gonna say.
But Standing on the Shoulders of Giants, like his songwriting was. I'm not gonna lie, sorry, Liam, but it was terrible.
Yeah. Is it
Like,
just?
it was
Yeah.
Little James.
It wasn't known
It
for
was
his.
it was
talent.
his lyrics. It was like I didn't like them, but like see the more it went on, like the more he wrote for other albums. He wrote Songbird and Heathen Chemistry.
Yeah.
I can't remember what he wrote for Don't Believe the Truth, but in Dig Out Your Soul he wrote a few good ones like Soldier On, I'm Out of Time, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think
Aye.
every Oasis album it's got something to appreciate in it. Like
Yeah.
I'd say like the only 2 I don't like would be Heathen Chemistry and Don't Believe the Truth, but even they've got like really good songs in
Yeah,
them.
I think the 3rd album got quite a lot of criticism at the time.
That's one I kind of like. I'm kind of on the
It's got
mix with that one.
It's got Stand By Me on it. It's in a telly advert now.
Yeah, Halifax.
I've heard it so many. It's like Jess Glynn in the Jet 2 advert.
Aye.
Where you hear that song all the
All the
time.
time, yeah,
it's
but
a wee bit like that. Is it Halifax? Yeah.
Yeah, it's Halifax.
Yeah,
Yeah, I get really happy when I see that because like Stand By
Yeah.
Me, I think that is one that's kind of gone under the radar recently, but that's kind
Yeah.
of brought it back up.
Did you not learn that in the guitar lesson?
I
as
did,
well?
yeah.
Aye. I mean, what about? I felt we should do this one time and do a top tier, like how you see that when they've got all the songs laid out on a table.
Yeah.
We rank them.
Rank
we've
all
got
the songs.
categories. You've got like top tier,
Like middle.
middle, like
Average
another football
songs.
analogy:
Yeah.
Championship, League One, League Two, down to the conference. Lowland League. Yeah, we should do that soon.
Definitely.
Actually, that's a good idea.
That'd be a good idea for
So-
like return.
Yeah, I would come back for the another
Sean
tri-
Lamond
the Sean
trilogy.
Lamond trilogy. Just take the words out of my mouth. Yeah, aye, brilliant. What a song, Round Our Way by Oasis. We will do that. Let's get that done.
I would like to.
You need to do that before. How many days left have you got to school? Can't be many now at all.
I've only got like about 4 or 5 weeks left. I'm pretty
4 or
upset by
5
that.
weeks left at school. Well, before you leave, let's
Starting
do
to
we'll come up with a name for it and we'll
Yeah.
do like
The Oasis extravaganza.
the Oasis extravaganza episode. Great band, timeless
Fantastic.
band. Everybody will have heard of them, but go
Yeah,
and listen
everyone's-
to the back catalogue. It'll make you cry. It'll make you feel 10 feet tall. It's just
Yeah, exactly.
the emotion that they create is amazing.
It's great.
Anyway, before we finish off, a couple other wee questions. So, obviously, you've talked about Oasis, Stone Roses,
Aye.
James. Have you got any other bands or artists that you listen to, Sean?
I listen to quite a few. Like obviously, I listen to Liam Gallagher and Ian Brown's solo stuff, but
Yeah.
I've been told by my pals that doesn't count as
Yeah,
something
that's
else.
like a spin-off.
That's an extension. Yeah,
Yeah.
spin-off. That's a good way of putting it. But I also listen to this band like called Madness. Like, I like
Oh
quite a
yeah,
few of their stuff.
that's get
That's
some of
like
the
another
brass
child.
sounds
Yeah,
from Round Our Way.
I think that's like that's probably why like I love tracks like that from Oasis because like Madness is one I've heard like a lot of my childhood.
Was
as well.
did that get played in the house when you were growing up?
Yeah, house like CDs, stuff like that. But I'd say my favorite ones from them when I was younger. I'd always like I had this for every band. Like Ian Brown's, it was the song "Always Remember Me." I always like had that one playing because that was my favorite one. Oasis, I always had Supersonic. That was like the one I was obsessed with that one.
Yeah.
And for Madness, it was Baggy Trousers.
Baggy
I
Trousers.
love
Yeah,
that song.
that's a really good song.
It's brilliant.
Almost like kind of comedic kind of way. Like,
Yeah,
it's
no,
just-
that's the thing. I think that's why I liked it so
Madness.
much. Like, because when I was younger, obviously I appreciated that. Like, but
yeah,
now
they're
I
just
just
happy, silly, aren't they?
Yeah.
Silly music. Yeah.
And that's the thing, in the music videos on YouTube, like they've always got like a wee silly skit before like they actually do.
Yeah.
Like the song, it's really good.
Brilliant. And have you got any ambitions for the future music wise? Like, are you hoping to like start a band when you're
Yeah.
a bit older, or
Hope so.
reform
Just,
the
like,
through, anything like that?
maybe perchance.
Maybe. I'd love to see that one day.
I've always wanted to like kind of perform live like music, like
Yeah.
even if it's not like my own, like I've always wanted to like perform like a Oasis cover or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason why you can't. 'cause
Me,
you
Harrison
can
Aiden
play a
did
lot
that
of
back in
songs.
like December. We like covered a few Stone Roses Oasis songs and like some originals that Aiden
Well,
did.
I've seen you in there jamming before.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to be having a summer concert this year in the department, so you'll have
Could
left school, but you could
Yeah,
come
I could come
back.
back.
and play.
I could like talk to them, see if they want to do it.
Yeah, and then you could even play one original and one cover or something,
Yeah,
or just
maybe.
a couple of covers.
Couple of covers,
and
like-
I'd love to see that. It'd be really good. Plus, like, because you spend years learning how to play an instrument, and you want to transform it into a live performance. Yeah, good stuff. And have you going to go and see any other gigs this year at all? Have you got anything booked in the diary?
Well, all I've got is my mum got me for Christmas tickets to see a Stone Roses cover band called the Clone Roses.
Clone Roses, It's a great name, that.
Very clever name, yeah. I hadn't heard of them before, but I'm really excited because I've never seen a Stone Roses thing live.
I'm sure they'll accurately...
I've not seen Oasis live, but I've seen Liam Gallagher live, so I've got halfway there.
Yeah.
I think close proximity.
I think these cover bands that are actually that play something like the Barrowlands, they're good. Like they it's not just
it's not
a band.
Obviously they wouldn't bad bands do
and
that.
they wouldn't let them perform under that kind of close in.
Yeah,
so that would be good. Anything else lined up for the summer at all?
Summer, I'm not sure. Guess just going to see what happens. Like if Oasis reform, I'm going to buy a ticket for that.
If Oasis reform, we'll be waiting
very
patient to get that one.
I'll wait for years
to get play about 300 nights at Hampden to get a ticket for that. And I suppose for you when you start at uni, wherever you end up going, you have a bit more time because unis don't start until later on. So you'll have all of August to go to gigs and all that sort of thing. Yeah, well, we're all back at school in mid-August. Lastly, before we finish off, this is just because you're coming to the end of your time at 6. I meant to do this with David, but I forgot. Have you got any advice for any younger people? I know you've obviously got younger siblings in the school, but any advice for younger people starting in S1?
Right.
So maybe for the new P7s coming up, what would you say to them? What should they do? Time here?
I'm just going to say, see public opinion and stuff like that. Like, doesn't matter. See, if you don't want to do something like that you really enjoy because you think, oh no, that's embarrassing, people are going to laugh at me. Don't worry about that. Like, do what you want to do. You know what I mean?
Do what you're passionate about.
Yeah, I held myself back from that for years and years, in this school because I thought that, but then I realized I don't care what most people think about me. You shouldn't. It's it's a really bad way to be. It can hold you back from things you're passionate about and stuff like that.
Exactly, and people are so conscious of themselves; they don't actually have the time to think about other people.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's people get so caught up in worrying about, what will somebody think if I do this? But
just do it.
Yeah, just
as long as you're not hurting anybody.
Yeah, 100%. Follow your
passions.
Sounds dead cheesy, but
I don't care if it sounds cheesy. It's true.
Yeah, and particularly when you're at the age of 11 or 12, that's the time when you can really pursue something. So if you have an interest in music,
you're going to go one or two ways. You're either going to be an individual, be yourself, or you're going to go along with these
follow the crowds,
and then you're just going to be another one of them.
Yeah.
You're not going to have an identity.
I like that. That's great advice. So don't worry about what other people think.
Never do that. Public opinion doesn't matter.
Exactly. Work hard. Keep your head down. Follow your ambitions. Thank you very much for your time again, Sean. Always a pleasure talking to you. We'll get you on for the Oasis
extravaganza,
the tiered list. And until next time, take care. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Cheers.
Find us on Spotify. Yes, Spotify is where we want you to go.
Spotify.